That's all right, 22 minutes past 7. Well, it seems increasingly likely that Mrs May will step down. It's just a matter of time. Our political editor Laura Kilsby was reporting a few minutes ago that conversations at the top level of the Conservative Party are already taking place. Well, Ed Macy was rather a minister, country minister under David Cameron. He has been returned as MP himself. Good morning to you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What happens to Mrs May? What should happen? Should she go and when?
So I'm not at the top level of the Conservative Party, so I'm not part of these conversations.
Nonetheless, you have a
no, I think she can hold on. I think one of the messages that was coming through in the election is we are to begin the Brexit negotiations. So having gone into a hung parliament, I think to lose our Prime Minister would be pretty disastrous. We are the largest party and we're very likely to form the government. I think Theresa May should attempt to do that. But I think obviously things have to change, and I think in particular one of the issues I raised during her leadership campaign, I hope that she will be a more inclusive leader and involve all wings of the party. And I think if we can dial down the rhetoric on Brexit and understand that the country was split in two and there are Remainers like me who feel passionately that we want to maintain our relationship with the European Union and not simply walk away if we get no deal, then I think she can bring the party together. But I think this is a time when we need to unite from the shock of a very unexpected election result for us.
But you say she can bring the party together and run a government, but let's just reflect on what she said. Here are a few seconds of what she said only a matter of weeks ago.
The reality is that if we lose just 6 seats, the government loses its majority. And that would mean Jeremy Corbyn in number 10 and Nicola Sturgeon pulling the strings from Bute House.
So, perfectly clear, it was her view that it would be untenable.
Well, it would be untenable to have Jeremy Corbyn in number 10, what she was saying, and obviously political rhetoric during a campaign is now going to meet political reality, trying to form a government at a time when we're negotiating Brexit, when we need to provide reassurance. You've just been talking to your city correspondent. Yeah, and also where we need to address some of the issues that came up in this election. And one of the things I said when I made my acceptance speech is one of the messages I would have taken back to Westminster anyway, is the public's concern about austerity, particularly people working in our public services.
Indeed, but and all of that is true, but right now the crisis, and it will be seen by many people as a crisis, is that we're about to start negotiating, opening the most important negotiations this country has seen in recent history for Brexit. Now, how can a weakened Prime Minister, which she is, a Prime Minister who does not have a majority in the House of Commons, how can she sit at that conference table, the negotiating table, confident that she can drive a good bargain for Britain? She can't, can she?
Well, there are sort of two questions in there, if I can be a bit cheeky. One is, you know, to a certain extent, it's up to her to show us that. So if she decides at 10 o'clock that she's going to ask the Conservative Party to continue to support her, which I'm sure we would, and to be Prime Minister, she has to show us that she can do that negotiation.
But she has to do that, does she? She has to make some sort of statement in the next hour or couple of hours that says, look, I'm struggling to frame the sort of statement she might make. I mean, does she go to the Conservative Party and say, please, can I hold on to my job?
I'm struggling, obviously, to make sense, having not had a wink of sleep all night.
Well, I sympathise with that.
I perhaps put it too harshly for the Prime Minister. She is the Prime Minister and she's the leader of my party. So, but she will obviously make a statement at 10 o'clock which will make clear what her intentions are.
Look, and it is her fault, isn't it?
If she wants to stay on as leader, I would support her on that.
Even though it was her decision, she took a gamble, the gambles failed, a lack of judgment, she ran a disastrous campaign, surrounded by a group of people who maybe didn't help very much. You know...
I mean, I think, you know, there's obviously going to be a massive post-mortem on the election and what has happened. I mean, credit to the Labour Party for winning seats, but we've got to remember we still got the highest share of the vote of the Conservative Party since 1983, and there's a lot of stuff going on under the surface that wasn't simply a vote against Theresa May and a vote for Jeremy Corbyn. There was a backlash, I think, against Brexit and the hard rhetoric and concern about public services. And I think I don't regard Brexit as this sort of ridiculous legal process that's going to end in exactly 2 years' time. It is a negotiation, and I think we now need to calm down about Brexit and have a proper and sensible conversation about the relationship we want with the European Union.
Ed Vasey, thanks a lot.
It's 26 minutes past 7 now. It's not only one government that has had a bad night. The Scottish governing party, the Scottish National Party, of course, have lost not just 21 seats, but also their leader in Westminster, Angus Robertson, and the former First Minister, Alex Salmond. SNP still remains Scotland's biggest party. We're joined on the line by Hamza Youssef, who was an aide to Mr Salmond. He's now a minister in the Scottish Government. Morning to you.
Good morning.
What went wrong?
Well, a couple of things. Let's not pretend it hasn't been a mixed night, of course, for the SNP when you lose big hitters like Alex Salmond, like Angus Robertson, some good new MPs as well that have lost their seats. It's of course disappointing, but let me try to...
It's not mixed,
attempt to give...
Nobody
well, let me try to give
21 seats and you lose 13% of your vote.
But you also have to accept that we won the election, won a majority of seats, not a minority, but a majority of seats, and actually got the second best result we've ever had in the 80-year history of our political party. So, of course, that 56-seat watermark of 2015 was, frankly, a freak result. So, no, I'm not trying to gloss over it. I'm saying it is disappointing when you lose colleagues. We have to reflect. Different factors played. Clearly, there was a Corbyn bounce and a Corbyn surge. I represent a seat in Glasgow. A lot of those results were very close. One seat in Glasgow going back to Labour, so there's clearly been a bit of a Corbyn bounce.
Whatever the opposite of a bounce is, it's Nicola Sturgeon had it though, didn't she? Because people didn't want, or not in the numbers that you need them to want it, a second independence referendum.
Well, I mean, I accept that I've not been doing politics as long as you, but for me, the party that wins the most seats, gets a majority of seats in that country, ends up winning the election. So
well, no, nobody's challenging that. We're saying you got more than 50% of the vote at the last election, and you got just over a third of the vote this time.
No, but we won the election. So my point is that we're still the most popular party by quite some distance as well. Let's not forget that we won 35 of those seats. So again, I'm not attempting to say there hasn't been disappointing elements to the night. Of course there has been.
But are you saying, just to be clear, that on you go with the second independence referendum? You don't take this as any guide to tell you, forget it, people don't want it?
I think the First Minister this morning, when she arrived at the county in Glasgow, said that we will reflect on the result. We will reflect on what the implications of that are. Now, look, we've not had as much sleep, and nobody probably has in the last few hours, so I'm not going to make a snap judgment on what it means for a Scottish independence referendum. What is clear is that there's absolutely no mandate whatsoever to impose a hard Brexit on Scotland, or in fact the rest of the UK, from the result that we've seen.
And the second independence referendum is one of the things that you need to think hard about now. What are you up to?
Undoubtedly we'd have to think hard about that. What I would say is, though, the mandate for that was secured by the 2016 Holyrood election result, plus a vote that took place in the Scottish Parliament. But yes, of course we'll have to reflect upon that, but at the moment, what I would say the most outstanding issue that we have to address is, of course, forming a government, and we would, of course, look to have discussions with the Labour Party, with other progressive parties like Plaid Cymru, the Greens, in order to keep the Conservatives out, and that's something that will be commencing immediately.
Interesting. We'll be following that as the day goes on. Thank you, Hamza Youssef of the SNP.
7:30, Gary Sport. Great photos this morning in the papers of England's young footballers who've reached the Under-20 World Cup final. They beat Italy 3-1. They'll now face Venezuela on Sunday, more in an hour. Can Andy Murray reach the final of the French Open in a few hours from now? He'll face Stan Wawrinka in Paris. Looking ahead, our correspondent Russell Fuller.
Last year, at the same stage, Murray produced arguably the finest clay court performance of his career as he beat Wawrinka in 4 sets. He may need to play as well again, as the 2015 champion is yet to drop a set and sounds extremely confident about his form. Wawrinka also senses that for all Murray's improvement over the past fortnight, the world number one is still more hesitant than he was 12 months ago. The second semi-final features Rafa Nadal against Dominic Thiem, who beat Djokovic in the last 8 and is the only man to have beaten Nadal on clay this year.
5 Live Sports Extra will have commentary from 11:45. Latvia's Jelena Ostapenko became the first unseeded player to reach the French final. For 34 years, she'll face Simona Halep tomorrow. Great Britain have been eliminated from the America's Cup. New Zealand secured a 5-2 win in the best-of-9 semi-final. Lee defeated Wigan 50-34, a result that takes them off the bottom of the Super League table. And at the Oval, Sri Lanka beat India by 7 wickets in the Champions Trophy. All the sides in the group can still qualify for the semi-finals, having recorded 1 win and 1 defeat from their matches so far. Here are the tips. They run at Carlisle. At 3:40, number 7, Storm City. 4:40, number 4, Melting Dew.
Thank you, Gary. Later this evening, there's an edition of the News Quiz that's hot off the press.
Hello, I'm Miles Jupp, host of the News Quiz, which is having an election special. When I say election, you say special. Election. Sure, it was misjudged. I get that now. We're recording the episode the very afternoon of transmission, so expect some bang-up-to-date jokes and japes about the constituencies of Holton, Price and Howden, Feltham and Heston, Filton and Bradley Stoke, to name just an exquisitely named few. Please do tune in. The News Quiz, this evening at 6:30 on BBC Radio 4.
And the weather, sunny spells and scattered showers.
But there are dark clouds over Downing Street. It's 28 minutes to 8. You're listening to Today on Radio 4 with John Humphreys and Nick Robinson. And Zeb Soames has a summary of the news.
The United Kingdom is to have a hung parliament after Theresa May's decision to call an early general election backfired spectacularly. Although the Conservatives won the most seats, they will fall short of the 326 needed for an overall majority. With only 5 seats still to declare, the Conservatives have won 314 seats, Labour have 261, and the SNP are on 30.